Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is your boy Everyday Tech with Stan JB. I, of course, am Stan JB, obviously, and I'm here to finally give you guys my long-term review on the Google Pixel 6 Pro. Now, you know I've had this for a while. You know this has been my main device as I got rid of my S21 for this device, and I definitely have a lot of thoughts, mainly talking about the experiences that I've personally had, and coming from a lot of the negative fanfare this device has gotten in its beginning months to now, which I think we're at 8 months after its launch. So let's dive in and see what's going on with Google's first fully flagship Pixel. All right, so just to recap, let's jump into the specs. Now, speaking on specs, you're going to find yourself with a 6.7-inch 1440p LTPO AMOLED display with 120Hz refresh rate. That's going to be with Corning Gorilla Glass Victus for a little added protection. It's a 50 megapixel camera that also allows up to 4K 60 video recording. Comes with a 5003 milliamp battery with up to 30 watt fast charging, but let's be honest, it's actually more like 23 watts. Reverse wireless charging, 12 gigs of RAM, and up to 512 gig options. And this is powered by Google's first generation Tensor chip. Oh, and this product also starts at $899.99. So, now that we got the specs out the way, let's be honest, they don't really tell the whole story, especially on a Pixel device. You see, one of the best things about the Pixel phones is even without the strongest processors or strongest GPU, you get buttery smooth performance. And I know it's cliche to say buttery smooth, but that's the best way to describe it. And especially using Google's first generation Tensor chip, you do get flagship level performance. So that means games have been running fine for me. I even tried Apex Legends and it's been great. Genshin Impact, I never get too far in that game, but you'll notice a few stutters here and there, at least early on when I checked it out. But, games like Asphalt, Call of Duty Mobile, and things of that nature definitely perform very well. So you can definitely expect the Pixel to handle all the performance you throw at it without as much of a hiccup in general usage, even advanced usage. Gaming, once again, has been smooth. I've been able to switch in and out of apps with no issues. It's just been a pleasant experience. The biggest issue I've had is some games not really being updated. So for a game like Wild Rift, it hasn't let me go on all the way to 120 Hz, despite this being a 120 Hz screen. And I know the game can handle it because it's handled things a lot stronger than that. You just need some updates for some of the apps for you to take full advantage of Google's Tensor chip. So when it comes to performance, the power is definitely there. But in a weird turn of events, the biggest issue with the Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro has been software. Now, if you travel anywhere on Twitter or Reddit, you'll know there were a slew of bugs in the early months with the Pixel. I've only had a few, nothing too serious that would break my experience with the device, but I know people personally who've had things such as their 5G network not connecting, crashes, just even things such as YouTube Studio just crashing upon usage. And for creators such as myself, that was a big issue because that's something that we interact with every single day. I was going to throw Twitter under the bus and say that on the Pixel it's been bad, but let's face it, Twitter has been bad on Android. So hopefully there's a fix for that one. Now, I don't really put this all on Google. I do put it all on Google, but not for the reasons you would think. You see, when this device launched, we also got Android 12, which was a complete overhaul of Android as we know it, and it introduced Material U, which would dynamically change the colors of your icons and your settings in your phone depending on the wallpaper you choose. And you had a slew of options you could select. Now that's a pretty big change along with all the under the hood changes such as the animations and the way it handles permissions and privacy. And with such a big change added on to the fact that this is Google's first chip, you gotta admit, it was a risky move. And it definitely didn't pay off for Google. We've had a lot of bugs. We've had a lot of issues. And month after month, they've been trying to fix some things and then other things would break. And then Twitter would go nuts. And there's a few of us who had great experiences, so we're like, you guys are crazy, what are you talking about? Then there's other people who had terrible experiences, and they're like, you guys are fanboys. The truth is, everyone had a different experience. And that's where my problem lies. You see, when you get a phone such as the iPhone or the Galaxy S22, you have somewhat of a consistent experience across the board. We did not get that with the Pixel 6 Pro. Now let's fast forward to now. With the most recent updates to Android 12, it is a lot better. And I gotta say, as somebody who is currently running Android 13 on my personal Pixel, the future of the Pixel phone looks amazing. And I think we're going to see big improvement further on down the road by the time the Pixel 7 is out. But even for now, if you have a regular Pixel 6 and you're not running the beta software and you are in the latest version of Android 12, you're going to have a much more refined experience than we did at the beginning. Now, that's not saying all the bugs are gone. That's not saying everything's perfect, but it should be a big improvement from how it was. And if you were worried about getting this phone because of bugs, I like to say that right now, it's the best time to own the Pixel 6. And that even goes for some of the big bugs. Well, not bugs, but just hardware limitations such as the fingerprint reader. Now, we know at launch it was the most inconsistent, untrustworthy fingerprint reader that we had on a device. Now, man, I think it's a non-issue. It's not the fastest, but it's consistently working for me. It's consistently reading my fingerprint, even if I have some residue on there, which was a big problem. Your finger had to be perfect in the past to properly get a fingerprint reading. Now, it works like almost any other fingerprint reader, just not as fast as them. Especially on the Android 13 beta, it is a non-issue. I don't even think about it. It's still not going to be as fast as my Galaxy S21 or the Galaxy S22, but it will be a good experience. You're not going to have a bad experience anymore. You're just not going to have the best experience. And coming from how bad it was in the past, according to a lot of people, I'll take that improvement any day. But once again, I'll admit, I did not have that many issues with my Pixel 6. In my experience, it was a pretty solid device. I gave it some pretty good reviews when it first launched, and I didn't really have much to hate on it. Now, like I said, it wasn't perfect. There were a few bugs for me personally. I had a strange battery issue. Thankfully, that was quickly worked out. I had some of the same fingerprint woes that everyone else had, but just a few app crashes that were very weird. I had this system crash, but nothing happened. It said system crashed, but my phone was working. So it was more of an annoying pop-up every so often. Things of that nature just made the experience a little sour for a lot of people, and thankfully it's been a lot better. Also, with some of the latest updates, especially on the most recent version of Android 12 and on Android 13, there's just been a few bit of polish and refinement that I've been noticing, from subtle things like more haptics and just how you maneuver around the phone to tweaking of the haptics, the little changes that I like that are very minuscule. Like if I select a wallpaper, which I change wallpapers like 3 times in a day. I'm a psychopath. I tell you this all the time. Don't know why you watch my videos. But I love to change wallpapers. And now there's this quick, neat little shortcut that once I hold on the home screen, it shows me the last 5 wallpapers that I've used. So convenient, so tiny, but it's little changes like that that have been making the Pixel experience even better. Just small changes refining the software. That's what these last couple of months have been for the Pixel universe. Refinements of the software. And it's not just on, the user experience, but I gotta say the camera has been even better than before. Now, if you remember my first review, I mentioned that sometimes the Pixel camera would overprocess a lot of the images that I took. I've noticed that has gone down drastically. In fact, the camera is even better, way more consistent. Some of those smart features kick in a lot more, like the face unblur. You have top shot, little things like that. There's way less noise, even in low light images. And the biggest improvement has to come to the front facing camera. When I first got this device, I was not impressed with the front-facing camera. Selfies always looked noisy, no matter what the lighting situation was. And the processing just didn't seem to make sense. But Google worked their magic, and now front-facing camera pictures are amazing again. Thank God, because oddly enough, the front-facing camera at the beginning of this was just bad. You would get some good images, but not Pixel quality, not what you expect from a Pixel phone. So it feels like that Pixel camera, and that's just Google working their magic. Video, on the other hand, has not been so great. Yeah, it's not bad, don't get me wrong. It's still the best video camera on a Pixel phone, but that's not saying a lot. And when you have devices such as the Galaxy S22 and the iPhone 13 going out there and just having cinema-like quality on their cameras, it leaves a lot to be desired. And that's one of the things that I'm hoping Google fixes with the Pixel 7, is making the video camera as good as the whole camera setup on this device. When you look at this, you see how big this visor is. You want every camera to be perfect, including the video camera, and it's just okay. There's a few modes in there that can help, but it's not my go-to. Sad to say. Hopefully in the future, it can be. Speakers are still pretty solid on this thing. I've never had any complaints. They're very loud. They're not the best. You're not going to be like the most full sound out of a smartphone, but they are going to be loud and pretty solid. They're not going to blow you away like those old HTC speakers did at the time, but they will be very good and very useful. You're going to like them. You're not going to have any problem with them, I promise you. They're loud, punchy enough, but hey. Screen has been amazing. I still have no complaints. This is the first Pixel that I don't hate using in the sunlight because it does get bright, especially on auto brightness, which is another bug that seems to have been fixed. It's not nearly as wonky, so there's no problem leaving that auto brightness mode on, so when you go outside, you can get the higher nits of brightness in direct sunlight. I live in Florida. I need that. I need a bright screen, and this has made me happy. It can be brighter. I still wish we would hit that galaxy level of brightness. That's just kind of ridiculous. I want to be looking into the sun when I look at my Pixel, blind me. Whatever you need to do, just make me happy. I'll put it down and not hurt my eyes. I promise, Google. Just give me the option. And the build, I gotta say, granted, I have used the case for the majority of my time with the Pixel. Despite me being someone who does not like cases that much, I found a couple that really speak to me. I really do enjoy Google's cases, the way they look, but they kind of get this yellow one, even on the dark gray one, which is weird. The build, even when I take it out the case, there's no scratches that are like really noticeable. Just your normal micro scratches. Even on the aluminum rails, it's been pretty solid. I've seen on some phones, cases just mess them up, and I take this in and out of case every day, and it seems to be fine. Honestly, when I get home, I take it out the case and I start walking around like this, and it still is slippery, but, what are you going to do about it? Just put your finger underneath the camera visor, you'll be okay. Build-wise, it's been showing its strength. That Corning Gorilla Glass Victus has been a lifesaver for the Pixel in my experience. I'm still not a fan of the curved edges because I feel like that doesn't allow the phone to be as strong as it can. But in usage, it doesn't bug me. It still seems very usable. I haven't had any accidental presses, but I still recommend the case. I'm going to give it a couple more months before I start carrying this around butt naked all the time. Currently, I am using this case, which I really love. It comes from a company called Boomslang. They are not a sponsor. They're just somebody I really love their artwork and the quality of case. Check them out. Go to boomslang.com, especially if you're a fan of anime. They have a lot of merch, including cases for some of the most popular phones. So that's me just giving someone else a bit of a shout out because I bought their case for the last 2-3 phones I've had. So, at the end of the day, how do I feel about this? I think it's pretty obvious. I love this phone. I think it's great. Yes, there may be technically better phones out there, but here's the thing. Despite me loving my Galaxy S21 or my iPhone XS, there's something about the Pixel phones that is very, very intangible. You can't really describe it that well, but it's the experience. The experience using the Pixel has been a pleasure. The UI is great. The colors, the way you can customize it to look how you want with your own wallpapers, it makes for a whole pleasant experience. Add to that, the computational AI and machine learning and all that makes for a device that truly feels smart. This is the smartphone. I know every phone is kind of called a smartphone in name, but this one feels smart. Without me having to press buttons, it's already calculating what I'm going to do. It knows what song is playing. It knows I'm going to head to work, and it tells me, hey, you have this many minutes before you get there, this much traffic. It's always learning about me, and that's, in a sense, terrifying because it shows how much we've advanced, but it's great. I love a phone I don't have to think about. The Pixel experience, to me, is next to none. Yes, Samsung phones give you all the features under the sun. and I'll probably use them at first and then pick 2 or 3 that I stick with. This doesn't have as much features like that make it all bright and shiny, but you know how people say iPhones just work? Currently speaking, with the way software has gone, especially me running at Android 13 beta, the Pixel just works. And more so than the iPhone or the Galaxy, it works intelligently. It is a smartphone through and through. Google's Tensor chip does not focus on power, it focuses on brains. And if you love smartphones and you want a smartphone, it's kind of hard to pass this guy up. So that's my view on it. You want the real life smartphone with one of the best experiences on Android? Grab a Pixel. Don't care if you grab the Pixel 6 Pro or the Pixel 6. They're both amazing. If the Pixel 6a just dropped with a few downsides, still gonna get that Pixel experience. So that's my thought. I know I didn't say enough negative about it and we love to hear bad things. But every time I say something bad about the Pixel, Google comes out and tries to fix it. So, hey, gotta be happy, right? Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys love about this. Let me know what you guys hate. Let me know if Google has done enough to change your experience with the Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro. And drop them in the comments. Thanks again for letting me rant about tech. Until next time, peace.